DeJesus with the D. Anyway, I know it's Saturday Night Live. It's comedy, free speech and all that, I know. But I must say the skit called The Ultimate Historical Revenge Fantasy, Jesus on Cross, bugged me. It is Lent, and Christians around the world are celebrating Christ's sacrifice on the cross and his resurrection from the dead. Do we really need to see Jesus wielding an Uzi and a bloody sword?
Guess who's back?
Jesus uncrossed. He's risen from the dead.
You miss me?
Get him! And he's preaching anything but forgiveness.
Jesus H. Christ! The H is silent.
It gets really bloody from there, but I know, I get it. Jesus was played by Christoph Waltz, the guy in Django Unchained, and I should be LOLing, but I'm really not. It's okay to joke about Jesus, even during one of the holiest seasons on the Christian calendar, but maybe it's not okay for Jesus, who was all about forgiveness, to portray Jesus as a psychopath, hell-bent on revenge. Talkback question, did Saturday Night Live cross the line with Jesus on Cross? Pete, I'm going to start with you because you understand these things better than I do. What'd you think?
I'm a stand-up comedian. I just don't believe in crossing the line. I agree on pushing it as far as you can. This is a send-up of Quentin Tarantino's movie Inglourious Basterds and DeJesus Unchained. I mean, not Django Unchained. I mean, that's what this is, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really, really well written. I thought it was risky, of course. I think Christians should be able to laugh at themselves and their Savior. I think Saturday Night Live would really impress me if they would do that with Islam, but I know that they won't.
Oh, my God.
The only problem with this sketch is that Jesus was played by an awesome actor, the host, Christoph Waltz, because he's a white guy, and Jesus looked a lot more like Ron Christie or Jason Jones, who are on this panel.
And when I was watching this, I laughed at first, especially when they said the H is silent. I thought that was really funny. But then they had Jesus, like, with semi-automatic assault weapons gunning down the Romans, you know, out of revenge. And then it just started to bother me.
Well, Carol and Pete, since I'm not going to go to hell, I'm not going to say I found it funny, and I'm not going to laugh at it, and I'm not going to watch it. Listen, you know, Saturday Night Live chooses what they put on, and we choose what we watch. That's what being in a free society where we respect freedom of speech means. One of the things that differentiates us from other societies is, for example, we don't go out and threaten Salman Rushdie's life when he says something that we don't like about a deity. That's just how it works. It works that way. Sometimes they put things that you like, sometimes they put things that you don't like, and you always have the clicker as your choice and your vote.
But that's such an easy excuse to me. Oh, freedom of speech, we have a right to change the channel, but we also have a right to talk about how it's just not right, don't we, Jason?
Well, look, I thought it was,
Christians have a right to protest.
And I thought it was perfectly hilarious, and people can be mad at it if they want to. I was impressed that they managed to do a spoof of Quentin Tarantino without constantly using the N-word, since he seems personally obsessed with it. I completely agree with Pete. I was like, oh, it is comedy because they have white Jesus, and everybody knows the guy looked much more likely to be Arabic. But at the end of the day, I just don't care. It's a segment on Saturday Night Live which hasn't been relevant in 15 years. So if people want to get excited about it, I don't really care.
No.
I'm not that moved by it.
Ron, go ahead.
I just didn't like it. I think we're in one of the holiest times in the calendar for Christians. I cannot imagine if they had done the same thing for the Prophet Muhammad. We would have been hearing boycotts, we would have been hearing people all upset, but there's somehow a mentality that you can insult or you can spoof Jesus Christ. I just didn't think it was all that funny. But again, I agree with my other colleagues. If you don't like it, you can change the channel, and I certainly did.
Well, absolutely, but you bring up an interesting point. I think that Jesus is used by many different factions for many different things. Jesus means different things to different people, and he's used constantly. And maybe that's right or maybe that's wrong, but it confuses people, doesn't it, in a way?
I mean, I don't see how you could be confused. I mean, it's like, it's a character. I mean, look, we live in a Christian country. You culturally know who Jesus is, whether or not you believe in Jesus being the Son of God spiritually. So I don't see why people are that offended.
This is more of a parody, let's be clear, of Quentin Tarantino's scripts and films and gratuitous violence than it is really anything to do with
Quentin
Jesus Christ.
Tarantino's movies are parodies of history.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, yes, exactly. And and Saturday Night Live is doing a hypothetical. By the way, Christoph Waltz also played the Pope in Saturday Night Live in a hilarious sketch about, you know, the Pope retiring and what kind of retirement plan he should have, papal securities. Very, very funny. We don't hear anything about that. But I mean, this is the definition of comedy. Absolutely, people are going to be offended. People are always offended, even when you don't think. Believe me, I'm on stage doing the most harmless joke about my new puppy, Carol, and people will, oh, I don't appreciate that, talking about a puppy that way. It happens. People are entitled to their belief. But as Anna says, you can use a clicker, as Anna refers to it, a clicker.
Well, like I said, I didn't mind that they were poking fun at Jesus, because I do believe maybe Jesus had a sense of humor, right? It's just at this particular time, when we're so close to Easter, when we're in the Lenten season, it just...
Let's be honest, no Christians were up. It was late on Saturday night. They were getting ready for church.
I'm like,
Now,
is there a too soon
let's
for
just give
Jesus?
up Saturday Night Live for, let's give it up for Lent. Let's give up Saturday Night Live for Lent.
Exactly.
Look, Ron's sitting there silent over there. Help me out, Ron.
Look, Carol, the only thing I'd say is what I just said a few moments ago. I can't imagine, let's be real honest about this, if you had had the Prophet Muhammad in the same skit, in the same sketch, doing the same things, I think there would be an outrage, there would be a backlash, there would be all sorts of people who would be very upset. In our society, however, it seems to me that there's a certain level of political correctness. You can make fun of Jesus, you can parody Jesus, but you can't do it to the Prophet Muhammad. If we're going to be consistent about this, let's do it. I just think it's offensive. You shouldn't be doing that to religious figures, in my view.
Well, I think the comedians in that skit,
but you
if they
can't
had made fun of the Prophet
you-
Muhammad, would be in hiding today.
Right.
Yes,
I love that.
exactly.
I also doubt that you have any Muslims on staff or any Muslim comedy writers who are at SNL who probably would have said, hey, there's a way that we can write this comedy. Part of why we can make fun of Jesus and make fun of other religious groups in this country is because there's a sense of sort of national ownership. It's a Christian country. We can make fun of Christian characters. It's not a Muslim country, so making fun of Muslim characters is a problem.
Well, in the
That
end,
is a great point.
that is a great point. And maybe in the end that says it all, because Anna, if you can joke about Jesus, you feel closer to him somehow. Or am I reading this too deeply?
No.
No, I think,
Anna
listen,
didn't
I
say
think you're
anything.
right. Jesus, that's the beauty about Jesus. He means different things to different people. He means all things to all people. When I go to my friend Donna Brazil's house, Jesus is black. When she comes to my house, Jesus is Hispanic. And then every now and then he's even blue-eyed and white and blonde. So, you know, he means all things to all people. And look, we do have the right to protest. You guys will remember back when that singer, many, many years ago, Sinead O'Connor,
Yes.
did a, you know, did a pretty
Tore up the
outrageous
picture of the
thing
Pope,
involving
right?
the
Right.
Pope. And there were very loud protests. So we do have the right to protest.
People forget-
We
people
do,
forget
you know,
Jesus-
we can do it.
Go ahead, wrap it up, Pete.
Jesus was very self-deprecating himself. He had a great sense of humor. There was a roast, remember? The Final Supper?